In the vast and silent expanse of space, Earth had always been a quiet little planet. It wasn't anything special to the eyes of those who roamed the galaxy. No one paid much attention to this blue dot tucked away in a corner of the Milky Way. For centuries, humans looked up at the stars with curiosity, but never thought they'd have to face what lay beyond them. They were dreamers, not fighters. But all that changed one fateful day. It began with something small, too small for most people to notice. A team of astronomers working late at night noticed something strange near Jupiter's orbit. At first, they thought it was just another asteroid or perhaps some glitch in their equipment. But as they zoomed in on the object, they realized it wasn't natural. It was man-made, or rather, alien-made. The probe was sleek, metallic, and unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Its surface shimmered faintly under the light of the distant sun, and its shape suggested advanced technology far beyond human understanding. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Governments around the world were alerted immediately. This wasn't just an ordinary find, it was proof that Earth wasn't alone in the universe. At first, there was excitement. People imagined friendly aliens arriving with gifts of knowledge and peace. But that excitement quickly turned into fear when scientists analyzed the probe further. It wasn't here to make friends. It was here to spy. The probe was mapping Earth's defenses, studying its cities, and even tracking military movements. Whoever sent it knew about humanity, and they were planning something. Panic spread like wildfire. World leaders held emergency meetings behind closed doors. For the first time in history, nations put aside their differences and worked together. Humanity faced an existential threat, and everyone knew it. If these aliens came back, Earth wouldn't stand a chance unless drastic measures were taken. And so, Project Starshield was born. Project Starshield was humanity's answer to the unknown danger lurking in space. It was ambitious, risky, and incredibly expensive, but it was also necessary. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers from every corner of the globe joined forces to create something unprecedented. Earth's first fleet of starships. These weren't tiny spacecraft designed for exploration. These were massive war machines, built to defend humanity against whatever might come next. The project faced countless challenges. Building ships capable of traveling between stars required technology humanity didn't yet possess. Engines powerful enough to break free of Earth's gravity while also navigating the void of space seemed impossible to design. Weapons strong, enough to take down alien invaders sounded like science fiction. But humanity refused to give up. Teams worked around the clock, fueled by desperation and determination. They poured every resource they had into making Project Starshield a reality. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from quantum physics. Researchers discovered how to harness quantum energy to power engines that could bend space itself. These engines allowed ships to warp across vast distances in seconds, effectively turning the galaxy into Earth's backyard. Another breakthrough came in weapon development. Plasma cannons, railguns, and experimental energy shields became the backbone of the fleet's arsenal. Each ship was equipped with layers of defenses and offensive capabilities designed to overwhelm any enemy foolish enough to attack. The centerpiece of the entire project was a massive ship called Odyssey. It was the first prototype of its kind, a fully functional starship capable of carrying thousands of crew members and enough firepower to level entire cities. When Odyssey successfully completed its first test flight, breaking through Earth's atmosphere and disappearing into the depths of space before returning safely, it marked a turning point for humanity. For the first time, Earth had the means to fight back. But building the ships was only half the battle. Humanity needed people brave enough to pilot them and skilled enough to operate their complex systems. Military personnel underwent rigorous training programs unlike anything seen before. Pilots learned to navigate three-dimensional combat in zero gravity, while engineers mastered the art of repairing advanced machinery mid-flight. Even civilians played a role, volunteering to serve aboard the ships as technicians, medics, and support staff. Everyone understood the stakes. Failure wasn't an option. As years passed, Project Starshield grew from a desperate idea into a tangible force. More ships rolled off assembly lines, each one bigger and more powerful than the last. The fleet expanded rapidly, filling Earth's orbit with gleaming vessels ready for action. Among them was Eclipse, the largest and deadliest ship ever constructed. Stretching several miles long, Eclipse housed enough firepower to destroy entire planets if needed. Its hull was reinforced with materials stronger than steel, and its energy shields could withstand attacks from multiple directions. To command such a behemoth, Earth chose Commander Elena Vasquez, a brilliant strategist known for her calm demeanor under pressure. Commander Vasquez wasn't just a leader, she was a symbol of hope. Born into a family of scientists, she had grown up fascinated by space. Her sharp mind and unwavering dedication made her the perfect candidate to lead humanity's charge into the unknown. Under her guidance, the crew of Eclipse trained relentlessly, preparing for the day when their skills would be put to the ultimate test. Every drill, every simulation, brought them closer to being ready for whatever awaited them among the stars. Back. On Earth, life continued as usual for the most part. Most people went about their daily routines, unaware of the monumental efforts taking place above their heads. But whispers of Project Starshield began to spread. Rumors of giant spaceships and secret military operations filled the airwaves. Some dismissed them as conspiracy theories, while others clung to the hope that humanity truly was preparing for the future. Despite the secrecy surrounding the project, it couldn't remain hidden forever. One clear morning, the truth finally came to light. As dawn broke over the horizon, the skies above Earth began to change. Strange ripples appeared high in the atmosphere, glowing faintly like auroras. Then, without warning, massive cracks split open the sky itself. Through these cracks emerged the starships, dozens of them towering giants that dwarfed everything below. Their sleek designs caught the sunlight, reflecting it back onto the awestruck faces of billions watching from the ground. Cameras captured the moment live, broadcasting it to every corner of the planet. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from disbelief to awe. Humanity had unveiled its ace card, and the world watched in stunned silence. For the first time, Earth stood tall in the galaxy, not as victims, but as warriors. The starships weren't just symbols of power, they were a promise that humanity would no longer cower in the face of the unknown, a promise that if anyone dared to threaten Earth, they would face consequences unlike anything they'd ever imagined. The fleet assembled in orbit, forming a protective barrier around the planet. From that moment on, humanity was united under one banner: survival. Though the unveiling of the starship sent shockwaves through human society, it also served another purpose. Somewhere out there, hidden among the stars, someone, or something, was watching. The message was clear. Earth was ready. Whether friend or foe, humanity would not go quietly into the night. And so, the stage was set for the next chapter in Earth's story. The quiet blue dot had transformed into a beacon of defiance, shining brightly against the darkness of space. Little did anyone know, the real test was yet to come. The unveiling of Earth's starships was a moment that would forever be etched in the collective memory of humanity. For billions of people, it was a day of awe and pride, a moment when their species stepped out of the shadows and declared its place among the stars. But for Commander Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard Eclipse, it was just the beginning. The fleet now hung silently in orbit, a wall of steel and energy shielding the fragile blue planet below. Yet, as the initial excitement began to fade, a deeper question loomed in everyone's minds. What happens next? The skies had split open, revealing humanity's greatest achievement to the world and potentially to the universe. As news networks replayed footage of the massive ships emerging from the atmosphere, speculation ran wild. Some believed the display was meant to inspire hope and unity on Earth. Others thought it was a warning shot fired directly at whatever alien civilizations might be watching. Few realized that both interpretations were true. Humanity wasn't just showing off, it was sending a message loud enough to reach across the galaxy. That message came not long after the starships took their positions in orbit. From deep within, the bowels of Eclipse, a transmission was broadcasted into space using every frequency imaginable. It wasn't encrypted or hidden. It was meant to be heard by anyone listening. The words were simple but carried an undeniable weight. We are here. We will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. Any act of hostility against us will be met with overwhelming force. The statement rippled through the cosmos like a shockwave. Alien civilizations, some ancient and others newly formed, paused to consider what they had just heard. To many, Earth had always been seen as insignificant, a backwater planet too primitive to matter. Now those same beings stared at their monitors, watching replays of the shimmering cracks in Earth's sky and the monstrous ships that had emerged. Some dismissed the message as bravado, assuming humans lacked the capability to follow through on their threats. Others weren't so sure. Among those who watched closely was a coalition of insectoid creatures known as the Zenari Collective. The Zenari were scavengers, opportunists who thrived by preying on weaker species. They had sent the probe near Jupiter years earlier, hoping to assess whether Earth was worth invading. When they saw the starships, their curiosity turned to unease. Could these fragile bipedal creatures really pose a threat? Or was this all a clever bluff? To test the waters, the Zenari deployed a small fleet of reconnaissance drones toward Mars, where human colonies had recently begun establishing themselves. These drones were fast, stealthy, and armed with cutting-edge technology designed to disable defenses without triggering alarms. If Earth's forces failed to detect them, the Zenari would know the starships were nothing more than empty shells. But if the drones were destroyed, back on Earth, the Martian colonies were abuzz with activity. Engineers worked tirelessly to expand habitats, miners extracted valuable resources, and scientists conducted experiments to prepare for future interstellar missions. None of them suspected they were about to become the front line in humanity's first extraterrestrial conflict. Commander Vasquez, however, did suspect. She had anticipated that the unveiling of the starships would provoke a reaction. Her instincts told her that the Zenari, or someone like them, wouldn't let such a bold declaration go unanswered. So she ordered the Martian defense grid to remain on high alert. Automated turrets lined the perimeter of each colony, ready to fire at a moment's notice. Stealth satellites orbited the red planet, scanning for any signs of unauthorized movement. And above it all, 3 star destroyers, including Odyssey, remained stationed nearby, prepared to intervene if necessary. When the Zenari drones finally arrived, they moved with precision. Their sleek forms darted between rocky outcrops, avoiding detection as they approached the largest colony. One by one, they deployed EMP devices designed to disable power grids and communication systems. But before the devices could activate, the Martian defense grid sprang to life. Hidden sensors picked up the faint hum of alien engines, and within seconds, the turrets swiveled into position. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the drones with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions lit up the barren landscape as the invaders were torn apart. The attack was over almost as quickly as it began. Only a handful of drones managed to escape, fleeing back toward deep space. Back aboard Eclipse, Commander Vasquez received the report with a mixture of satisfaction and concern. Satisfaction because the defenses had worked flawlessly. Concern because this skirmish was likely only the beginning. As word of the incident spread, reactions varied wildly. On Earth, celebrations erupted in major cities. News anchors hailed the victory as proof of humanity's newfound strength. Social media platforms buzzed with memes and hashtags praising the Martian miracle. For the first time in history, humanity didn't feel powerless in the face of the unknown. Instead, it felt invincible. But beyond Earth's borders, the mood was far less jubilant. Word of the drone attack, and its failure, spread rapidly among alien factions. Some species viewed Earth with newfound respect, acknowledging the potential threat posed by this once insignificant planet. Others grew fearful, wondering how quickly humans had advanced and whether they might someday turn their weapons outward. Still others, like the Krylos Dominion, saw the event as an affront to their dominance. The Krylos were an aggressive empire, known for conquering weaker worlds and subjugating their populations. To them, Earth's defiance was intolerable. If left unchecked, it could inspire rebellion among other subjugated species. While tensions simmered in the galaxy, Commander Vasquez focused on preparing her fleet for what she knew was coming. Though the Zenari attack had been minor, it was clear that larger conflicts loomed on the horizon. Intelligence reports suggested that multiple alien empires were mobilizing their forces, though none had yet made direct contact with Earth. In the meantime, Vasquez ordered her crew to run simulations, refine tactics, and ensure every ship in the fleet was combat-ready. She also reached out to Earth's leaders, urging them to strengthen diplomatic efforts. While humanity had proven it could fight, Vasquez understood that war wasn't always the best solution. By opening channels of communication with neighboring civilizations, Earth might avoid unnecessary bloodshed. To her relief, several embassies responded positively, expressing interest in peaceful relations. Trade agreements were proposed, cultural exchanges discussed, and mutual defense pacts considered. Slowly but surely, humanity began carving out a place for itself in the galactic community. Yet beneath the surface of diplomacy, darker forces stirred. The Krylos Dominion, enraged by Earth's audacity, began plotting revenge. Their leaders convened in secret, devising plans to crush this insolent new player on the galactic stage. Spies infiltrated neutral territories, gathering intelligence on Earth's capabilities. Shipyards churned out vessels twice the size of Eclipse, each one bristling with weapons capable of leveling entire planets. The Krylos intended to make an example of Earth, to show the galaxy what happened when a lesser species dared to challenge their supremacy. For Commander Vasquez and her crew, the wait was agonizing. Every day brought new reports of Krylos movements, each one more alarming than the last. Yet despite the growing tension, there was no sense of panic aboard Eclipse. Instead, there was resolve. Humanity had come too far to back down now. The starships weren't just machines, they were symbols of everything Earth had achieved. They represented hope, unity, and the unyielding spirit of a species determined to survive. As the days turned into weeks, the crew trained harder than ever. Pilots practiced dogfighting maneuvers in zero gravity, engineers fine-tuned weapon systems, and strategists ran endless simulations to anticipate every possible scenario. Commander Vasquez walked among them, offering encouragement and reminding them why they were here. "This isn't just about us," she said during one briefing. "It's about everyone back home, the families, the friends, the future generations. We're fighting for them, and we won't lose." Unbeknownst to the crew, their determination was being mirrored on Earth. People around the world rallied behind Project Starshield, volunteering resources, skills, and even their lives to support the cause. Factories operated around the clock, producing ammunition and spare parts. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve existing technologies and develop new ones. Even children contributed, drawing pictures of starships and writing letters to the crews serving aboard them. Humanity had united in a way it never had before, driven by a shared purpose. And then, one fateful evening, the waiting ended. Sensors aboard Eclipse detected a massive fleet approaching Earth's solar system. It was the Krylos, and they had come in full force. Their ships filled the void of space like a swarm of locusts, their hulls painted with menacing insignias that struck fear into anyone who saw them. For a brief moment, doubt crept into the hearts of even the bravest soldiers. Could humanity truly stand against such overwhelming odds? But Commander Vasquez refused to let fear take hold. Standing tall on the bridge of Eclipse, she gave the order that would change everything. Prepare for battle. The stage was set. Earth's starships faced their greatest challenge yet. Would humanity rise to the occasion, or would its newfound strength crumb? The Krylos Dominion fleet arrived with the quiet menace of a storm cloud rolling across the horizon. Their ships were massive, jagged constructs that seemed to scrape against the fabric of space itself. Each vessel bristled with weaponry, plasma, cannons, missile launchers and energy projectors capable of tearing apart planets. The sheer size of their armada was overwhelming, dwarfing even Earth's most formidable star destroyers. From the bridge of Eclipse, Commander Elena Vasquez watched as the enemy fleet warped into position just outside Mars's orbit. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her voice remained steady. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered, her tone calm yet firm. "This is it. We've trained for this moment. Let's show them what humanity is made of." Her words echoed through the ship's intercom, reaching every corner of Eclipse and the rest of the fleet. Crew members scrambled to their posts, their movements precise and practiced. Pilots climbed into cockpits, engineers powered up weapon systems, and strategists plotted courses of attack. For months they had prepared for this confrontation, running simulations and refining tactics. Now those preparations would be put to the ultimate test. As the Krylos fleet advanced, their leaders broadcasted a message to Earth. It was cold, arrogant, and devoid of compassion. "You are insects," the transmission declared, accompanied by images of burning worlds and fleeing refugees. "Your defiance has earned you only destruction. Surrender now or face annihilation." The message sent chills down the spines of everyone who heard it. Back on Earth, billions watched live broadcasts of the standoff, their faces pale with fear. Governments convened emergency meetings debating whether to negotiate or fight. But aboard Eclipse, there was no hesitation. Humanity had already drawn its line in the sand, or rather among the stars, and backing down wasn't an option. Commander Vasquez gave the order to engage. With a deafening roar, Eclipse surged forward, flanked by two smaller star destroyers. Behind them, the rest of the fleet formed a protective barrier around Earth. Plasma bolts streaked across the void as both sides opened fire, lighting up the darkness of space with bursts of blinding energy. The battle had begun. At first, the Krylos held the advantage. Their numbers were staggering and their weapons packed devastating power. Several human ships took heavy damage, their hulls scorched and shields flickering under relentless bombardment. But humanity had something the Krylos didn't expect: ingenuity. Every member of the fleet had been drilled in unconventional tactics, using speed, agility, and teamwork to outmaneuver larger opponents. Smaller vessels darted between the lumbering Krylos warships, targeting weak points and exploiting gaps in their defenses. One such maneuver came from Lieutenant Marcus Kane, a hotshot pilot known for his daring stunts. Leading a squadron of fighter craft, Kane executed a daring loop around a Krylos dreadnought, luring its gunners into focusing on him while other ships slipped behind to strike at its engines. The plan worked flawlessly. The dreadnought's propulsion systems exploded in a fiery cascade, leaving it dead in space. Cheers erupted across the comms as Kane's squadron regrouped, ready for their next target. Meanwhile, aboard Eclipse, Commander Vasquez coordinated the fleet's efforts with surgical precision. She divided the Krylos forces into smaller groups, isolating them and picking them off one by one. Her strategy relied heavily on AI-assisted targeting systems, which analyzed enemy movements and predicted their next actions. These predictions allowed Earth ships to anticipate attacks and counter them before they could land. The Krylos, accustomed to overwhelming their foes through brute force, found themselves struggling to adapt to humanity's clever tactics. But the battle wasn't without cost. One of the star destroyers, Aurora, suffered critical damage when a Krylos cruiser unleashed a barrage of missiles at close range. Flames erupted from its hull as crew members scrambled to contain breaches in the lower decks. Despite the chaos, Captain Sarah Lynn refused to abandon ship. Activating emergency protocols, she turned Aurora into a kamikaze weapon, ramming it directly into the Krylos cruiser. The resulting explosion obliterated both ships, sending shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. Though tragic, the sacrifice bought valuable time for the rest of the fleet to regroup. Back on Earth, the tension was palpable. News anchors provided constant updates, their voices trembling as they described the unfolding carnage. Families gathered around screens, praying for loved ones serving aboard the starships. Social media overflowed with messages of support, prayers, and calls for courage. Even skeptics who had doubted humanity's ability to stand against alien invaders now cheered for the brave men and women fighting in the depths of space. As the hours dragged on, the tide of the battle began to shift. The Krylos fleet, though still formidable, was starting to falter. Their losses mounted and their commanders grew increasingly desperate. In a last-ditch effort to turn the tide, they deployed a superweapon, a colossal beam cannon capable of obliterating entire fleets in a single shot. When activated, the weapon emitted a low hum that resonated through space, sending shivers down the spines of everyone within range. Commander Vasquez recognized the danger immediately. If the beam charged fully, it could wipe out half the human fleet in an instant. Ordering all nearby ships to retreat, she positioned Eclipse directly in the weapon's path. Her decision stunned the crew. Risking the flagship, and herself, was a bold move, but Vasquez knew it was necessary. Using Eclipse's experimental shielding technology, she hoped to absorb the blast and buy enough time for reinforcements to arrive. The moment of truth came when the beam fired. A searing lance of energy shot toward Eclipse, engulfing it in a blinding aura of light. For a few terrifying seconds, it seemed as though the ship and everyone aboard would be vaporized. But then, miraculously, the shield held. Sparks flew across the bridge as circuits overloaded, and alarms blared throughout the ship. Yet, Eclipse remained intact, its reinforced hull groaning under the strain but refusing to break. With the superweapon temporarily disabled, the human fleet seized the opportunity to strike back. Fighter squadrons swarmed the remaining Krylos, ships peppering them with plasma fire. Railguns launched projectiles at hypersonic speeds, piercing through armor and disabling vital systems. Meanwhile, Odyssey led a daring assault on the Krylos command ship, delivering a crippling blow to their leadership. Without direction, the Krylos fleet descended into disarray. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the battle reached its climax. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the surviving Krylos ships attempted to retreat. Commander Vasquez gave the order to pursue, ensuring none escaped to regroup and return another day. One by one, the retreating vessels were destroyed, their hulks drifting lifelessly through space. By the time the dust settled, the Krylos fleet had been utterly annihilated. Silence fell over the battlefield. Exhausted but victorious, the human fleet regrouped, assessing damages and tending to wounded crew members. Casualties had been high, but the cost of failure would have been far greater. As news of the victory reached Earth, celebrations erupted worldwide. Fireworks lit up the night skies, and crowds flooded the streets, chanting slogans of unity and triumph. For the first time in history, humanity had stood toe-to-toe with an alien empire and emerged victorious. Yet amid the jubilation, Commander Vasquez remained somber. She stared out the viewport of Eclipse, watching as debris from the battle drifted lazily through space. The victory was undeniable, but it came at a price. Lives had been lost, ships destroyed, and scars left that would take years to heal. Still, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had proven itself not just as survivors, but as warriors capable of defending their home. As the fleet began its journey back to Earth, Vasquez addressed her crew. "Today we showed the galaxy that we won't back down," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We fought for our planet, for our future, and for everything we hold dear. But remember this, our work isn't done. There will be more battles, more challenges ahead. And when they come, we'll face them together." Her words resonated deeply, not just with her crew but with everyone back on Earth. The battle against the Krylos marked a turning point in human history. No longer were humans passive observers of the universe. They were active participants, ready to protect their place among the stars. And while the road ahead would undoubtedly be fraught with danger, one thing was certain: humanity was ready to rise to the occasion, no matter what the cosmos threw their way. The aftermath of the battle with the Krylos Dominion left Earth both triumphant and scarred. The victory had been hard won, but it wasn't without consequences. Dozens of starships lay in ruins, their wreckage drifting silently through the void of space. Thousands of brave men and women had given their lives to protect humanity's future. Back on Earth, the celebrations were tempered by mourning. Flags flew at half-mast in memory of those who had fallen, while memorial services were held in cities around the globe. Yet amidst the grief there was also pride, a deep sense of accomplishment that resonated across every corner of the planet. Commander Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard Eclipse returned to Earth as heroes, though none of them sought glory. Their faces bore the weight of what they had endured, their uniforms stained with smoke and sweat from the final hours of the battle. As they stepped off the ship onto the tarmac, crowds erupted into cheers, waving banners emblazoned with phrases like "Earth prevails and united we stand." But Vasquez kept her focus sharp. She knew that while the Krylos threat had been neutralized, humanity's fight was far from over. News of Earth's victory spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Alien civilizations, some of which had dismissed humans as insignificant, now watched, with newfound respect and fear. Embassies from neighboring systems reached out cautiously, seeking to establish diplomatic relations. Trade agreements were proposed, cultural exchanges discussed, and mutual defense pacts considered. Humanity's place in the galactic community was no longer in question. It had earned its seat at the table through sheer determination and strength. Yet, beneath the surface of diplomacy, darker forces still simmered. The destruction of the Krylos fleet sent shockwaves through the galaxy, destabilizing power structures that had existed for centuries. Some factions saw Earth's rise as an opportunity to form alliances, hoping to benefit from humanity's growing influence. Others viewed it as a challenge to their dominance, vowing to undermine Earth's position whenever possible. Among these was the Zynari Collective, the insectoid scavengers who had tested Earth's defenses months earlier. Though they had retreated after their failed attack on Mars, they hadn't forgotten their humiliation. Now emboldened by the chaos following the Krylos defeat, they began plotting revenge. Back on Earth, governments worked tirelessly to rebuild and expand Project Starshield. The losses suffered during the battle had exposed vulnerabilities in humanity's defenses, and leaders were determined not to repeat past mistakes. Factories operated around the clock, producing new ships, weapons, and technologies. Scientists pushed the boundaries of innovation, developing upgrades for quantum engines, energy shields, and plasma cannons. Recruitment drives brought in fresh waves of volunteers eager to join the ranks of Earth's defenders. Humanity wasn't just preparing for another war, it was building a legacy. Commander Vasquez played a key role in this effort. Despite her exhaustion, she threw herself into planning and strategy sessions, ensuring that Earth remained vigilant against future threats. Her experience in the battle against the Krylos made her invaluable, and her insights helped shape the next generation of starships. One such project was codenamed Genesis, a revolutionary vessel designed to combine offensive firepower with advanced stealth capabilities. If successful, Genesis would give humanity an edge in any future conflict. But, even as progress continued, tensions flared closer to home. Not everyone on Earth agreed with the direction humanity was taking. Some argued that focusing so heavily on military expansion risked alienating potential allies. Peace activists staged protests outside government buildings, holding signs that read "War leads to more war" and "Diplomacy over destruction." They believed that humanity should prioritize peaceful coexistence rather than flexing its muscles in the galaxy. Others countered that Earth couldn't afford to let its guard down, not when hostile forces still lurked in the shadows. These debates reached a boiling point when reports surfaced of strange activity near Saturn's rings. Surveillance satellites detected unusual energy signatures emanating from the area, suggesting the presence of alien technology. At first, many dismissed the findings as remnants of the Krylos fleet or natural phenomena. But Commander Vasquez suspected otherwise. Ordering a reconnaissance mission, she sent a small team of scouts to investigate. What they discovered sent chills down their spines. Hidden within the icy debris of Saturn's rings was a Zynari outpost, a massive structure teeming with activity. Inside, swarms of insectoid creatures scurried about, assembling weapons and repairing damaged ships. It was clear that the Zinari had been using the outpost as a staging ground for their operations. Worse yet, intelligence gathered from intercepted transmissions revealed that they were planning another assault on Earth, this time with reinforcements from unknown allies. The revelation forced humanity to act swiftly. A council of world leaders convened to discuss the situation, weighing options ranging from preemptive strikes to diplomatic outreach. In the end, they decided on a dual approach. Send a diplomatic envoy to negotiate peace with the Zinari while simultaneously preparing for the possibility of conflict. Commander Vasquez led the military preparations, overseeing the deployment of additional ships to Saturn's orbit. Meanwhile, a team of diplomats, including experts in xenolinguistics and interstellar law, prepared to meet with Zinari representatives. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station floating in the outer reaches of the solar system. The Zinari delegation arrived in sleek, insect-like vessels, their movements precise and calculated. Their leader, a towering creature with iridescent exoskeleton plates, spoke through a translator device. Its voice was cold and mechanical, devoid of emotion. "You have disrupted the balance of power," it declared. "Your actions threaten the stability of the galaxy. Surrender your weapons, and we may grant you mercy." The human diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. Mercy from the Zinari was unlikely. Their history was riddled with conquests and subjugation. Still, the lead negotiator, Ambassador Rachel Chen, maintained her composure. "We seek neither conquest nor conflict," she replied firmly. "We wish only to coexist peacefully. If you stand down, we are willing to offer trade agreements and shared resources." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then the Zinari leader emitted a series of clicks and chirps, a sound interpreted by the translator as laughter. "Coexistence is a weakness," it sneered. "You will learn that lesson soon enough." With negotiations failing, humanity braced itself for war once again. Commander Vasquez wasted no time mobilizing the fleet. Under cover of darkness, squads of stealth fighters infiltrated Saturn's rings, targeting key sections of the Zinari outpost. Explosions lit up the icy expanse as plasma bolts tore through the structure, sending chunks of debris tumbling into space. The Zinari retaliated fiercely, deploying swarms of drones and launching counterattacks against the human fleet. The skirmish escalated rapidly, turning into a full-blown battle. Despite being outnumbered, humanity's ingenuity gave them the upper hand. Pilots used Saturn's gravitational pull to execute daring maneuvers, dodging enemy fire while delivering devastating blows. Engineers aboard the starships worked tirelessly to repair damage and maintain shields, ensuring the fleet stayed operational. Commander Vasquez coordinated the assault from Eclipse, her tactical brilliance guiding the fleet through the chaos. Slowly but surely, the tide turned in humanity's favor. As the battle raged on, unexpected help arrived in the form of a mysterious ally. Ships bearing unfamiliar markings emerged from hyperspace, joining the fight against the Zinari. Their pilots communicated briefly with Vasquez, identifying themselves as members of the Varelian Concord, a coalition of species dedicated to maintaining peace in the galaxy. The Varelians had been monitoring Earth's rise and admired humanity's courage. Seeing the Zinari's aggression as a threat to galactic stability, they chose to intervene. With the combined might of Earth and the Varelian Concord, the Zinari forces crumbled. Their outpost was reduced to rubble, and their surviving ships fled into deep space. The victory was decisive, but it came with a sobering realization. Humanity couldn't face every threat alone. Building alliances would be crucial if Earth hoped to secure its place among the stars. In the weeks that followed, humanity entered a new era of cooperation. Treaties were signed with the Varelian Concord, solidifying Earth's position as a respected member of the galactic community. Trade routes were established, bringing wealth and knowledge to Earth's people. Scientists collaborated with alien counterparts, advancing technology and medicine in ways previously unimaginable. For the first time, humanity truly felt like part of something greater. But Commander Vasquez remained cautious. She knew that peace was fragile, especially in a universe filled with ambitious empires and hidden dangers. Standing on the bridge of Eclipse, she gazed out at the stars, her mind racing with possibilities. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing tall among the cosmos, but the journey was far from over. There would be more battles, more challenges, and perhaps even more allies. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: humanity was ready to face it head-on. The alliance between Earth and the Varelian Concord marked a turning point in humanity's journey among the stars. For the first time, humans weren't just fighting for survival, they were building bridges. Trade routes stretched across light years, connecting Earth to alien markets filled with exotic goods and advanced technologies. Scientists collaborated on projects that pushed the boundaries of knowledge, from quantum computing to medical breakthroughs capable of curing diseases once thought incurable. Schools introduced courses on xenolinguistics, interstellar diplomacy, and galactic history, preparing future generations for life in a universe far larger than anyone had imagined. Yet beneath the surface of progress, tensions simmered. Not all alien species welcomed Earth's rise. Some viewed humanity as an unpredictable newcomer, too eager to flex its newfound strength. Others resented the Varelians for supporting Earth, seeing it as a betrayal of long-standing power dynamics. Whispers of dissent spread through the galaxy, hinting at secret coalitions forming in the shadows. Commander Elena Vasquez knew better than to let her guard down. Victory over the Zenari hadn't eliminated threats, it had merely shifted them into darker corners. Back aboard Eclipse, Vasquez worked tirelessly to ensure Earth remained prepared. The fleet underwent constant upgrades, incorporating lessons learned from recent battles. Quantum engines became faster, shields more resilient, and weapons deadlier. New recruits joined the ranks. Their training programs intensified to match the evolving challenges of interstellar warfare. Among these recruits was Lieutenant Marcus Kane, whose daring tactics during the battle near Saturn's rings had earned him legendary status. Now promoted to squadron leader, Kane inspired his team with bold maneuvers and unwavering confidence. Yet even he couldn't ignore the weight of what lay ahead. Intelligence reports began trickling in about a growing threat, a shadowy faction calling itself the Obsidian Accord. Little was known about them beyond rumors. They operated in secrecy, wielding technology centuries ahead of anything humanity possessed. Their goal was rumored to be nothing less than galactic domination, achieved by dismantling established powers and imposing their rule. Earth, seen as a rising force, was likely high on their list of targets. Vasquez convened an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders and representatives from the Varelian Concord. Together, they analyzed the sparse data available, piecing together fragments of intercepted transmissions and spy reports. One detail stood out: the Obsidian Accord planned to strike soon, targeting key systems to destabilize the galactic order. If successful, their campaign would plunge the galaxy into chaos, and Earth would be left vulnerable. "We can't wait for them to come to us," Vasquez declared during the meeting. "We need to take the fight to them." Her proposal sparked heated debate. Some argued that launching a preemptive strike carried too much risk, especially given how little was known about the enemy. Others feared provoking the Accord might accelerate their plans. But Vasquez's logic was undeniable. Waiting would only give the Accord time to grow stronger. Reluctantly, the Council agreed to act. A joint task force was assembled, combining Earth's starships with Varelian vessels. Their mission? To locate and neutralize the Obsidian Accord before it could unleash its full might. The operation began with reconnaissance missions deep into uncharted regions of space. Pilots ventured into nebulae, asteroid fields, and abandoned star systems, searching for any sign of the Accord's presence. It wasn't easy. Stealth was paramount, and every movement risked detection. Tensions ran high as days turned into weeks without success. Then, one fateful evening, a breakthrough came. Sensors aboard Odyssey detected faint energy signatures emanating from a remote moon orbiting a dying star. Cloaked in darkness, the moon harbored something massive beneath its surface. Commander Vasquez led the assault personally. with Eclipse. Spearheading the fleet, the task force approached the moon under cover of stealth generators. As they drew closer, the truth became clear. The Obsidian Accord had constructed a fortress carved directly into the moon's crust. Its defenses were formidable. Layers of automated turrets, shield generators, and minefields protected the facility. Worse yet, intelligence suggested it housed not only weapons, but also experimental technology capable of altering entire solar systems. "This is it," Vasquez said over the comms, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Stick to the plan. We hit hard, fast, and together." The attack began with precision strikes against the outer defenses. Fighter squadrons darted between turrets, disabling them with pinpoint accuracy, while heavier ships targeted shield generators. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked through space, illuminating the battlefield in bursts of blinding light. Inside Eclipse, engineers worked frantically to keep the ship's systems running as enemy counterattacks battered its hull. Sparks flew across consoles, and alarms blared, but the crew held firm. Lieutenant Kane led a daring infiltration mission, guiding his squadron through narrow tunnels leading into the heart of the fortress. Armed with cutting-edge disruptor rifles, they fought their way past waves of robotic sentries, each step bringing them closer to their objective. Deep within the facility, they discovered a horrifying sight, a massive device humming with unstable energy. It was a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen, one designed to collapse stars and obliterate planets caught in the resulting supernova. Kane reported back to Vasquez immediately. "We've found their superweapon," he said, his voice tense. "If we don't stop it, they'll use it to wipe out entire civilizations." "Buy us time," Vasquez ordered. "We're almost through their defenses." As Kane's team planted explosives around the weapon, the rest of the fleet launched a final push against the fortress. Shields collapsed under relentless fire, allowing boarding parties to breach the structure. Hand-to-hand combat erupted in cramped corridors as human and Varelian soldiers clashed with Accord forces. Every inch gained was paid for in blood, but the tide slowly turned in their favor. Meanwhile, inside the core chamber, Kane's team faced a desperate race against time. The weapon's countdown had already begun, its energy levels rising dangerously close to critical mass. Engineers worked feverishly to disable it, bypassing layers of security protocols while fending off waves of drones. Just as the timer reached single digits, one of the engineers shouted triumphantly, "It's done, detonation sequence aborted." Relief swept through the team, but there was no time to celebrate. Explosions rocked the facility as the charges they'd planted detonated, collapsing key sections of the fortress. Kane led his team back toward the extraction point, dodging falling debris and pursuing enemies. Outside, the fleet regrouped, providing covering fire as escape pods launched from the crumbling structure. By the time the dust settled, the Obsidian Accord's stronghold was reduced to rubble. Though casualties were heavy, the mission had succeeded. The superweapon was destroyed and the Accord's influence severely weakened. Back aboard Eclipse, Vasquez addressed her crew, her voice filled with pride and sorrow. "Today we stopped a catastrophe," she said. "But remember this, our work isn't done. There will always be new threats, new challenges, and when they come, we'll face them, together." News of the victory spread quickly, cementing Earth's reputation as a force to be reckoned with. Alien diplomats praised humanity's bravery, while ordinary citizens celebrated another triumph. Yet Vasquez understood that true peace required more than military strength. Diplomatic efforts intensified, forging alliances and fostering trust among neighboring species. Education programs expanded, teaching empathy and understanding alongside science and strategy. Years passed and humanity continued to thrive. Starships explored distant galaxies, uncovering wonders that defied imagination. Artists drew inspiration from alien cultures, creating music, literature, and art that bridged worlds. Scientists made discoveries that reshaped humanity's understanding of existence itself. Through it all, Earth remained vigilant, ready to defend what it had built. For Commander Vasquez, the journey was both rewarding and humbling. She had started as a soldier, driven by duty and determination. Now she stood as a symbol of hope, not just for Earth, but for all who believed in unity and resilience. Standing on the bridge of the cliffs, she gazed out at the stars, her mind filled with dreams of what lay ahead. Humanity had risen from a quiet blue dot to a beacon of courage and ingenuity. Its story was still being written, chapter by chapter, among the infinite expanse of the cosmos. And as long as there were those willing to fight, dream, and build, humanity's legacy would shine brightly for generations to come.